Can I ask everyone to please stand up and let the rhythm get into you?
Yes.
Yeah, man. Do any of you recognize this song?
Yes.
It's Michael Jackson.
You are old, like
No,
me.
it's not Michael Jackson.
Yes, it is. And the name of the track is Rock With You.
Cannot old enough.
So keeping in this vein, thank you so much for your participation, guys. Thank you. So you can have a seat. Thank you so much. I'm glad you got the blood flowing this morning. The name of the track was Rock With You. And in keeping with this idea of dancing, I'd like for us to chat about a concept today that will hopefully give us some clarity as we try to get through to the end of the year. So my first idea that I'd like to share with you is an idea that says we live in two separate worlds at the same time. Would anyone like to venture a guess what these two worlds are?
The good one and the bad one.
The internal and the external.
The internal and the external. Okay, thank you so much, Maurice. Got us off to a flyer. So I'm just going to draw a little bit of a quadrant to visually assist us in this. So I'm going to split it. And could we call it the individual as well as the collective?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Okay. And then if we further break these up, we could also look at the fact that, to come back to what Marie said, there's the exterior as well as the interior. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So I'd like to share a little story with you. When I was doing my coaching course at Gibbs last year, I sat alongside this woman who was working for Deloitte at the moment, and she was a consultant in the management space. And she sat across someone, and this individual looked at them, and they had recently had a talent engagement survey. I think you know what, you're familiar with the term, right? So she had this this guy had this talent engagement survey, and the feedback from his team was really, really negative. In the sense that they didn't feel inspired, they didn't feel connected to the work that they were doing, they didn't feel like there was cohesiveness within the team. And you know, this colleague of mine sat across from this guy and was listening to how unhappy this feedback made him. And he was trying to figure out, how do I go forward? What do I need to do to galvanize this team? What do I need to do to inject some energy and some optimism and some hope into the team to bring about a more productive kind of productive team in that sense? So she tried to talk to him about it, and what they got to learn at the end of that coaching session was that he was placing so much emphasis in these two quadrants here. So if we look at the individual, what are some of the characteristics that we see on the exterior of an individual? Calm, okay, cool. So that's a bit of a demeanor. Yeah.
Behavior.
Absolutely. That is correct. And how do we understand behavior?
Actions, words.
Correct, by what people say and what they do, right? And that's usually done through the vehicle of the body.
Yeah.
Makes sense? In the collective, we could call that the social aspect.
Yeah.
Are we together?
Yeah.
Okay. And what are some of the things that you think we could find in this quadrant over here?
Interpersonal relationships.
Absolutely.
Is it people,
So
groups?
it's generally some kind of an environment in which the interpersonal connections and relationships happen, right?
Yeah.
It's also where a lot of systems exist, and with systems comes structure and, of course, process as well. Are we good?
Yeah.
Cool. So let's go down into the interior, right, of the individual. So what do you think we could find in this quadrant?
Beliefs.
Beliefs, absolutely, absolutely. Beliefs. So if we're gonna say beliefs, would it be correct to put psyche down there as well? So these are the things that are intangible, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
These are the things we don't necessarily see, but then at times presents itself up here in that quadrant. Cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you think that could be here? Feelings, absolutely. Alrighty, and then can we move across to the interior of the collective? So what do you think we could find there? So if this is the what, this then becomes the how. The how, also known as because again it's the intangible, right? It's the intangible things that kind of presents itself in this space. So if we come back to the example that I shared earlier, the manager at said company at the time couldn't understand why this was going wrong. And what he tried to do, what revealed itself in that space, was that he tried to change the structure. He tried to change the processes. He tried to change reporting lines to see if maybe that was going to assist the workflow and the productivity. But he negated everything that was happening below the line. And I think the big idea is obviously around relationships here, right? But I think it's about purpose as well. Peter Drucker once famously said that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So you can have the best strategy, the most creative minds. However, if the culture and if the deeper connection to the work that individuals do is not really pinned down or clearly defined or outlined for individuals to buy into, I think there's always going to be that challenge for organizations, for teams, for countries and humanity. If you think about it. So, are there any questions, any comments, any queries, any concerns?
Is it fair then to say that the exterior is influenced by what we've written on the, so if we want to solve for something, we want to like deep dive into those supply-go factors, because those are like what influences what we see on the outside.
Absolutely. I think it's about making the having a conversation about the intangible things. If you're familiar with the model of the iceberg, you could even do this, right? Because essentially, that's what people are exposed to and we see, but there's a whole lot more that's going on below the surface. So I 100% agree that if we're trying to solve for this, I really think this is probably where the starting point should be. or could be. In closing, thank you. I'm just conscious of time. I'd like to just share a little quote with you, and it reads, "You cannot have exterior development without interior development."